So what's up, YouTube? Before I start this review, I wanted to say thank you guys for 70,000 subscribers. I think it happened last night or the night before, but just when I first started this channel, I thought maybe 10,000, 20,000 subs would be crazy. We're coming up on a year, and 70,000 subs within, right now it's been about 11 months. Insane. So thanks for all the support, guys. Have a lot of content planned, and having said that, let's jump into this video. Obviously, if you haven't noticed already, I'll be reviewing a 2015 Lamborghini Aventador LP700 today. There are a couple variations of this car. There's the SV that was released, I believe, last year, the S, which came out this year, but this is like the original just LP700 Aventador. I remember being in high school, seeing this car come out, and like this just blew everyone away. At the time, the Murcielago was just insane, and everyone's, how are they gonna ever make a car better than that? And then they released this thing, and it's just like, holy shit. Like, from the way it looks to the sounds and even the performance stats, this is one of the first cars that did 0 to 60 under 3 seconds, which is a big deal. I know it's only been a couple years, but in 2012, that was a huge deal. Everything about this car, it's one of the first cars to push right up next to 700 horsepower from the factory, 691 horsepower, out of a 6.5 liter V12. There's a massive motor sitting right behind me. Everything about this car is over the top. I don't want to call it a supercar, but it's not quite a hypercar yet. There's this class of cars that fall between Aventador, the F12, the 675. They're not quite hypercars, but they're not really supercars either. They're somewhere in between. I'm going to be a little bit harsh on this car in this review, and there's a simple reason behind that. This car, brand new, was $420,000. Now, a bunch of you know the owner of this car. He's a fellow YouTuber. I just want to go ahead and say right now that this one is used. This is 2015. It was bought slightly used. I'm just giving you the new numbers. Don't go to his channel and start freaking out because of 420. That's just what this thing was, brand new. The reason I'm going to be a little bit harsh on it is because when you're paying $420,000 for a car, it better be damn good. It better be damn near perfect. And my question is this thing damn near perfect? And the simple answer, after living with it for a couple days, is no. This car has a decent amount of issues. So to start, the transmission is terrible. It's a single clutch transmission. When they came out with this thing, it was, it's because it's faster than dual clutch. There are all kinds of reasons that they stuck to a single clutch instead of a dual clutch. But honestly, I really don't think any of them were solid enough reasons to really do it. This thing is so clunky when it comes to shifting. So in full automatic mode, which given you probably wouldn't drive this car in automatic mode a whole lot, but in automatic mode, it never knows when to drop a gear for you. It rolls around in 7th gear pretty much 24/7. Now in the dash, you have a couple drive selects that kind of help, but not a whole lot. So you have Strato, which is like comfort mode, which does not exist in this car. You have sport mode, which you can still use automatic if you want to. It just kind of tightens everything up. The exhaust opens up. And then you have Corsa, which is race mode, and that's how I drive this car pretty much 100% of the time. In Corsa mode, it is 100% manual. The car's not going to help you at all. It'll let it slide around a little bit, and the exhaust is full open, as you can tell. So get rid of automatic mode because it's terrible. We'll just go into manual mode. Manual mode, while it is better, is still very clunky. The shifts are the most brutal of any car I've ever driven, and sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes it's like, oh, it's a Aventador, it's supposed to be brutal. But in this thing, it's like overly brutal. Like the time it takes for it to actually shift is just way too long for a car like this. In comparison to my PDK, which is bam, 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 just flying up the gears. This thing, the shifts are very just like, that's probably my main gripe with this car is the way the transmission handles itself. It's just, this car really needs a dual clutch. Now, in the Aventador S and the SV, the transmission is 100 times better. I'm not sure if it's dual clutch or not, but it's just a lot better transmission. Interior wise, it's a little cramped. You guys probably can't tell this from the video, the way I have it angled, but I am very uncomfortable in this car. My knees are up in the dash. If I sit straight up, my head is in the ceiling. It's just, this car's not made for someone my height. Not really a fair critique because most people are average height. But apart from that, the quality is good. It's not $420,000 worth, in my opinion. Audi really started playing a role in Lamborghini for the Aventador SV and the Huracan and stuff like that. The Aventador came out in 2012. Until the Aventador S came out, earlier this year, they really hadn't updated it at all. So the infotainment center came straight out of maybe an Audi A4, A6, something like that. It's just not what you would expect. Speakers are decent. You're not going to be listening to music in this thing with the exhaust note, but if you wanted to, they're okay. They're not the greatest. It's a very intimidating car to drive. And something like my GT3, I'm totally comfortable just throwing it into a power slide, go into a corner, do whatever I really want. You would have to have balls of steel to throw an Aventador into a power slide. I don't think there's any amount of driving this car that would make me as comfortable as I am with my GT3. As if the size and power and looks and everything else weren't intimidating enough, I always have like the small reminder in the back of my head that I'm driving a $400,000 car around. This is not your average car. You know, if someone accidentally rear ends you in this thing, it's not just let's take it to the body shop real quick. There's a $35,000 bumper on the back of it. I mean, as terrifying as it is, it's a fun car to drive. Appearance-wise, I'd argue this is probably one of the most famous cars ever built. I mean, there's no mistaking an Aventador for anything else. There's hypercars out there that do not get as much attention as this thing gets. And the simple reason behind that is, I mean, it's a famous car. It's Batman's daily driver when he's not in the Batmobile. It's a Decepticon in Transformers. It is easily one of the most menacing cars ever to be built. And that's why you buy an Aventador. You know, people aren't buying the Aventador because they want to be low-key. I said in a video last week, you know, I love my GT3 because it's so low-key. It just flies under the radar. This is completely opposite. I've been driving this car for 2 days now. I've filled it up twice, which, by the way, you get about 5 mpgs if you're driving how I've been driving. And the 2 times I filled it up, I've been asked 3 times what I do for a living, how I afford the car, what the car is, how much I paid for it, everything else. And I got to tell them, you know, I didn't buy it. It's a friend of mine's car. And then they're, you know, who's your friend? What does he do for a living? Everyone wants to know everything about you when you're in an Aventador. For some people, it's awesome. Some people are going to hate it. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of having like everyone nonstop take pictures and ask me stuff. But if you're into that kind of thing, this is definitely the car to get. I would argue there's not really any other car out there that turns heads like an Aventador will. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this review and edit of the Aventador. I personally love this car, even though it does have some issues. And the best way I can sum it up is that the Aventador is like the ultimate expression of what a car should be, but it's terrible at being a car. Every high school has that one really hot chick that you just always wanted to date. And then when you finally took her on a date, you realize she's a little bit crazy and has a little too many problems. That's this car. I mean, that is the best way that I can like explain how I feel about this thing. It is awesome. It's like the best thing ever in small doses. I couldn't live with this thing on a daily basis, but it is an amazing car. This might be a little shocking. Also, Christian, I'm sorry about this, but if I was in the market for the 350 to 450 range of cars, I'd probably go 675 LT. Personally, I just think it's a better kind of in between hyper and supercar. It's just the way it handles and the way it drives. It's better at being a car than this. But this is better at being like the expression of a car, if that makes any sense. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Like, share, subscribe, comment down below what you think about the Aventador. I want to do this video a little bit earlier, but it's just been raining in Houston nonstop. So today was the first day. It hasn't rained. Was able to knock this video out. So I'm going to try to edit this together and get it posted for you guys and then start on another one. So I'll catch you guys in the next one. Also, quick addition to the end of this video, because a lot of people don't know this, and when people bring it up about the Huracan and the Gallardo and stuff, it always kind of frustrates me. So the reason that Lamborghinis on their big V12 cars have always had doors that go up, it is not because they just wanted to be douchebags and make their doors go up and make a big statement. It is because
On the V12 cars, the way the seat sits and how long the door is, and if you look from here all the way to here, if the Aventador, the Murcielago, the Countach, the Diablo, if all these cars did not have doors that went up, you would not be able to get out of this car. If this door had to open like a normal door, when it's open, it would be way over the line next to you. So there's no way you'd be able to get in and out of this car unless you had 2 parking spots. That is why, at least back in the day, the Lamborghinis had doors that went straight up. And then the Gallardo and the Huracan obviously didn't need that because their doors were a lot shorter. Just the more you know.